Hi, welcome to Midday. I'm Truda Carney, your host today. Today we have Robin Bilazarian, psychotherapist and author of Tapping the Mighty Mind. Robin, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. So tell us how your journey started.
Okay, so I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and that's a good thing. And I've actually been practicing 40 years, and in the last 22, I've also added acupressure. And acupressure, it's not acupuncture. There's no needles whatsoever. And acupressure is light touch, face and hands, and what happens is it's very relaxing. When you activate the meridians, you yawn and sigh. You're very relaxed. Yeah, so I've been doing that for 22 years, and I do it everywhere, by the way. I worked 20 hours a week in a local regional hospital, and I'm doing it there with all kinds of staff as an employee assistance counselor, and I do it in private practice. And I also, since the book has been published, I've begun to start speaking nationally as well. And so next week I'll be speaking in Chicago, and then Seattle, and then Los Angeles. So it's pretty exciting time for me. Yeah.
So can I ask you a question? The acupressure, what type of client comes in to your office and, who needs that specifically?
Okay. So actually you can use it for almost anything. Where I really like to use it is on anyone that has any kind of anxiety whatsoever, any kind of phobias, bridges, elevators, speaking, test taking, heights, any of them. They quiet very fast, sometimes in 10 minutes. Also for generalized anxiety, for social anxiety, for people who want to be social, but they're too afraid to be in those social situations. Public speaking, obsessive compulsive disorder, and trauma.
Okay, and can you describe a little bit about what that looks like? Like, is it a machine? Is it a massage?
Oh, no.
Is it Reiki? I don't really know what it is.
Okay, so the technique's been around. If you don't know what happened is in the 1970s, President Nixon goes over to China to open up trade. And while he's there, one of the people in his group has really bad appendix pain. So they use acupuncture, so Nixon is fascinated. So Nixon sends our medicine over there, surgeries, bandages, medications, and over here comes acupuncture, which I don't use, acupressure, light touch, self-applied, your own fingers, okay? Acupressure, Reiki, massage, yoga, Tai Chi, martial arts, reflexology. They've all been here since the 1970s. So I'm sort of in that genre, but I also incorporate other types of, all types of modalities. Okay, yeah. I'll tell you how I got into it because it's kind of interesting. Again, I've been a therapist for 40 years, but about 20 years ago or so, we moved from Rhode Island to here. My husband was downsized. We had to come. It wasn't a choice, okay? And so I'm a New Englander. I'm relatively conservative, as New Englanders might be. And this group that was friendly to me in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, they called themselves the Trauma Study Group. And they went to California to take the training, and they paid $5,000 for the week of training. I obviously didn't go, but when they came back, we practiced on each other monthly for 9 years. And what happened, which was interesting, is they're saying to me, look, next time your client's having a panic attack, or next time your client is afraid to do a public speech, have them tap on these acupressure points. And this New Englander is saying to them, and you were smoking what? In California, and you want me to do what? And so slowly it works. It just really works.
So if I'm tapping, if I start to tapping
you
now.
can tap. Well, I hope we'll be able to all tap so that I can show you these wonderful points. Okay?
Does each area mean something different? So if you tap on the head, what does that mean?
So I am truly in Chinese and Asian medicine at the moment, okay? 5,000 years old, so it seems to have some duration, okay? Most of the meridians start in your face and go through your body, and they end up pretty much here. So for instance, the point for trauma is here, and if I'm tapping or light touching
That's
here.
the frontal lobe, right?
It's possibly the front lobe, but it's more the meridian that starts here, goes up through your back, up through your feet, and ends up pretty much in the bladder area. A huge one for me is under the eye.
Okay.
Under the eye is anxiety, and I can run anxious. It's the stomach meridian, goes up, down around here, and ends up in the stomach. So yesterday I spoke to a school district and taught their staff how to do this for their teacher in service, because it's wonderful in the classroom. It's incredibly relaxing. And anytime you can take animated, anxious kids and quiet them down. But anyway, I was running late. I was stuck on Route 55, and because I run anxious, again, the stomach meridian, my stomach was doing tap dancing down the highway.
So if you, so you're running late, you're feeling anxious, and you wanted to just do that to yourself, do you have to like kind of coordinate a mindset or a thought process? Are you talking to your client while they're tapping? Are they processing it themselves?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question, because it's the difference between acupuncture and what I'm doing. Again, it's called the emotional freedom technique, although there was a bestseller on there called the tapping solution. And so when I try to tell people I do the emotional freedom technique, a lot of people know it as the tapping solution, because it was a bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list. The difference is there is wording involved, okay? So if I just had us tapping here right now, we may be desensitizing ourselves to what we care about lunch, okay? But if we focus on an issue, and let's say we focus on public speaking, or we focus on going over a bridge, then we would tune in to focus on going across the bridge, across the bridge, across the bridge, public speaking, whatever. And so you desensitize that thought.
So this is the public speaking, I'm assuming, right? Because it's
No, it's all of them. Yeah, it's all of them.
I'm just not sure why under the eyes or the anxiety.
Well, because I didn't form the wiring. The wiring is 5,000 years old or longer. It starts here, and it's the stomach meridian, goes up there, comes up here, and ends up pretty much in the stomach. Okay, the meridians, and I am talking about acupuncture meridians, only we're not using any needles whatsoever.
And the stomach is where we collect a lot of our anxiety, correct?
Yeah.
It just sits there, and it's just, that's why a lot of people have stomach issues, colitis, and
Exactly.
the new gut disease.
The new gut disease.
Leaky gut,
Leaky gut.
different things, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's interesting that it's connected. And then when you tap on the head, it's,
Yeah.
where does that go?
The one interesting, when you tap on the head, it's all the meridians. They all start pretty much in your face and end up pretty much in your torso. Yeah. There's 11 meridians that we use, and I'd be happy to show you these at some time in this interview, because
I'm about
it's
to lay
pretty-
across that table so you could start to operate on me.
Yeah, the thing is that we don't lie across the table, because I'm a psychotherapist, okay?
right.
And we are just going to do it together, sitting nicely across from each other.
So there's a position that you have to stay in.
No, it's just sitting nicely across from each other. There's no position to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk more about your Tapping the Mighty Mind book, and we'll get back to everything else that Robin wanted to talk about in a couple minutes.
When did you see the sign?
Seniors.
Hi, welcome back. We're with Robin Bilazarian, psychotherapist for 40 years and author of Tapping the Mighty Mind. We're here to talk a little bit more about, you want to touch on
Pain.
two other things, pain
And stress.
and stress.
Okay.
So-
All right. So I've been doing this modality for 22 years, actually. In the last year, I went to 2 workshops a year ago on pain management, and I have always been taking down pain. If you'll follow me for a second, if you can find the bone in the pinky and the bone in the ring finger, there's a little indent in there. And I have been doing dental pain for the last dental procedures for the last 18 years, only holding this. And what's pretty typical is when I go through all the acupressure points so I ran this workshop to 40 nurse managers, and for stress, by the way, because that's where I'm a psychotherapist. And by a show of hands, there were 11 people that had pain, and when we were done, 3 people had pain. And I thought to myself about a year ago, having attended these 2 workshops, one in upstate New York and the other one in Texas, that I should do more with pain, because I do know how to do it, and I'm very concerned about this opioid epidemic. We have people all over the place who started with pain and now are addicts, and they started with a football injury, and now they're being revived by Narcan. And I know how to do it, and I've been refining it for the last year. I've been running workshops. I ran one at a hospital-based women's group, and everyone's pain came down. I ran one within the hospital, so it's kind of a passion because we've got to help these people in that area, and this modality can do it. So so there's 3 levels to this. The first level is this point right here, and I'm going to turn my hand because it's easier to see. And I'm going to ask Truda. So this is the pinky, this is the ring finger, and and this is incredibly light touch, okay? And so Truda, you said that I asked her at the break, she said she gets a little tension in her forehead. 0 to 10, what is that tension right this second?
It always feels like a 6 or a 7 right before I'm going to present something.
So I'm going to ask Truda to hold this, okay? And
here?
Truda, I'm going to turn your hand if you don't mind, and I'm going to touch her, which I never do, but and it's right there. And it's incredibly light touch. And I'm going to ask her just to hold that, okay? And to get comfortable with it, okay? So this is one level, and when we're doing this, we usually hold this for anywhere from 15 to 20 breaths, although the workshops I've been running now, I've been holding people here while I just go and introduce the workshop. I'm going to hold her there, and you too if you want to on this video. So really where I end up running the most workshops is probably stress management, because we are all stressed out. Since 9/11, we are just all stressed out. Everybody's short-staffed, everybody's running on overdrive. I think the computers have made us smarter, but they slow us down, in my opinion. I used to be able to pull out a chart, read it, and go, and now I've got to wait for it to click 5 times before it will show up on my screen. So I think there's a lot of things that stress us out, okay? So I've held her here for 15, 20 breaths. Let me just see if there's any difference in her. Truda, tune into that pressure in your forehead. Does it feel any different at all?
It's interesting because I don't feel the pressure on my forehead.
Okay, and that's very typical.
I'm really
so
shocked.
this is level 1, if you will, of how to manage pain, just using this point. And again, I do all dental procedures like this, and I'm not brave, okay? So now we're going to go through all of it. So
Wait, can I just say that it feels like it just dissolved down?
yeah,
Is that what the sensation you're supposed to feel?
yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It really is
It's
cool.
pretty cool. Okay, so sometimes, most of the time I can get a good amount out of this, but if I can't, I'll go into the stress management. You did tell me something you're stressed about. I did forget. Oh, she wants to be perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
Everything that I do, if I'm presenting a house down
Okay.
the shore, or if I'm doing a show, or anything that I really care about,
Okay, so tune into that, okay, and I leave people there for 5 seconds, whether it be this or whether it be very grave trauma, okay? And 0 to 10, how worried are you about being perfect? 10 is the most, 0 is not at all.
Well, I think the perfect has to do with not wanting to disappoint someone.
And what
so I want to
number?
give my full 100%.
What number? 0 to 10? 10 is really incredible, 0 is not at all.
You know, it's usually like a 6.
It's like
just
a
in the
6.
beginning.
And by
then
the way, the reason that we use the numbers is just to give us feedback. If we held this and we didn't have a number, so let's say we started at a 4 and then we're at a 1, it's feedback. And it's like, wow, something did happen here. Okay, so follow me, and you're all welcome to follow me too. This looks like a karate chop. We're going to hit 11 points. Again, very light touch. Top of head. Inner eyebrow. Outer eye. And under the eye. Under the nose. Under the lip. Light touch. And collarbone. By the way, this is an eyes open technique. You don't want to meditate on problems. Under the arm. They call this the gamut spot. That's that pain point that we just were at. And this here's a heart hold. So each round of this is 30 seconds. We tend to do it in series of 3s. So let's add the words. And Truda, I'm going to have you say, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Even though I must be perfect.
Even though I must be perfect.
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 Under the eye, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Under the nose, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Under the lip, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
And collarbone, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Under the arm, for women, by the way, it's where the bra strap hits. Guys, 4 inches below, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Over to that gamut spot, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Okay, so that's a minute. We'll go one more time. I must be perfect.
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 Under the nose, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Under the lip, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
And collarbone, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Under the arm, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Over to that gamut spot, I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
And I must be perfect.
I must be perfect.
Okay. Tune into that desire to be perfect. And 0 to 10, where is it right this second?
It feels like it dropped down to a 4.
To a
3
4.
or a 4.
4. Yeah, and that's what we're looking for. Every 3 rounds, we're looking for a 2 to 4 point drop. Okay. All right.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, and so so again, this New Englander can't believe that I'm doing this because it's just too way out, but you can't walk away from it after you've seen it, okay? Now, we just went through it. I just want to check her pain, okay? That forehead pain. I think you started at a 6. Where is it now?
I would say it's a 3.
It's a 3, okay? So in a minute and a half of doing this and maybe holding this for another 30 seconds, we've taken her down faster than anything else I know because Tylenol and Aleve and all those, and even Xanax, they all take about 25 minutes to kick into your system.
I love the idea that it's a healthy remedy. So
It is
in
a
a couple
healthy
minutes, we're going to come back again. I might take a nap. I might be asleep when you come back because Robin's calmed me down so much. So we'll be back in a couple minutes. Hi, welcome back to Midday. We're here with Robin Bilazarian, and I'm wide awake again. I just took a 2-minute nap. So Robin's going to tell us more about her journey, and where are you right now with your journey?
So the beginning of my journey was, as I told you, this trauma group telling me to do this weird stuff, okay? That was 22 years ago. Where I am now is I lecture all over the place, and I've been training therapists. Last summer for a company, I trained people in I trained 185 therapists in Pennsylvania, Delaware, Virginia, and Maryland. In the next few weeks, this company has me going to Seattle, Chicago, and Los Angeles. And so between now, which is May, and August, I also speak in the universities because I'm licensed, and so I can. So I'm also doing 4 workshops for Rutgers. I'm doing a workshop for the University of Maryland. So again, it's called the Emotional Freedom Technique, also called tapping, and training therapists how to do it. Tomorrow I'm going to train therapists at the New Jersey State Social Work Conference in Atlantic City. So between now and August 9th, I have 20 all-day trainings, and it's very exciting. I wish this happened to me 10 years younger, but I'm going to ride this train anyway.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're onto something brilliant because as we talked in the break, I have an autoimmune disease. So autoimmune diseases are generally from a lot of stress, and they play out in the leaky gut syndrome and just specific eating problems and everything. And I'm so excited that I met you because I feel like you are the person who knows how to eliminate that stress before it gets to my body physiologically and has all these different reactions that aren't healthy.
Yeah, she's 100% right. The reason I like these techniques is if you see a psychotherapist, which I am, by the way, and I definitely do straight psychotherapy too, and the whole first 2 chapters of my book is just on things that anyone should know: active listening, problem solving, I statements, and then by chapter 3 I'm talking about this. Later chapters I'm talking about both, integrating them. Grief, anger, all these things, okay? But the reason I like it is if you talk to a psychotherapist, they're going to talk about your thoughts and your emotions. If you talk to a psychiatrist, he's going to talk about your physical sense, your physical things. This technique covers all 3. This covers your thought, which is, I have this autoimmune disease, the emotion, I'm really quite unhappy about it, and the physical pain. And it takes all 3 of them down. And I do that all over the place. In fact, when I'm working with trauma, I don't ever have the person repeat the trauma over and over again. I was attacked, I was attacked, I was attacked. I go in through the body, and I ask them, when you think about it, what do you feel? And they go, tight throat, pressure on my chest. We throw the issue into the waiting room, and we're going tight chest, tight chest, tight chest. And we're calming that down, 0 to 10, 7 to 0. We bring it back in, and where do you feel it now? I feel like I want to hurl, okay?
So it's almost like you're not giving that specific experience power. you're diminishing that power, and you're just basically saying, okay, in the moment right now, you're feeling tight here, you're feeling stress here, let's deal with it, let's learn how to address it, let's reduce and minimize that stress.
It's a desensitizing technique. It calms it down so that it doesn't have the influence. Because if we all think about our lives 2 months ago, there's something that happened that that we're upset about, but it doesn't bother us anymore, and that's the intent, to just desensitize it.
Can you say like one more thing about that? Because I find it, like for everybody who's listening, who always tries to, I mean, they can't help it, they don't try to, but they can't help but make the problem, they keep the problem big, and they keep feeding the problem or the experience. And although it's so difficult, that experience and that problem, can you just say more about the importance of just being in that moment and not adoring that problem, like not making it bigger than it is?
Okay, so I'm in California with my 2 kids. My son is driving my daughter's car. He gets into a small fender bender. I'm in the back seat. I get tossed, and I'm hurt, and I'm angry as a mother because my son is driving my daughter's car. Okay, so my son looks around and says, "Is everyone okay?" And my daughter says, "Yeah, she's doing EFT." Okay, kind of thing. And I was, because I hurt my back, and I had the anger, which I didn't want to express because everyone's already concerned, and so it's just really in the moment.
You were in the zone.
It's really in the moment, and you just use it, and you just keep taking things down. The founder says, make a list. Take one down a day. At the end of the year, there's 365 things that don't bother you. I also
Would you find a lot
quickly
of that
want
in
to
this
say
book?
something about your autoimmune thing. Please, folks, you can learn this from me. I have a website. It's robineft.net, but you can learn this online. Go to YouTube, type in the Emotional Freedom Technique, EFT, or tapping, and any other word that you want to know about. And you can tap in children, you can tap in classrooms, you can tap in autoimmune disease, you can hit stage fright, whatever is going on with you, because there's just thousands and thousands of practitioners like me. I'm credentialed in this by an American company and by a British company, and so are lots of other people too. And so, you want to know this, even if you don't know it perfectly. Last week for the hospital I work, I did a presentation to veterans, and I asked people, what is your stress management? And a young woman said, I use the Emotional Freedom Technique, and I learned it online. And she showed it to us, and she was right. She knew it. She really knew it. So I certainly want you to learn this. It's part of my life passion to get the word out about this, because it's so simple, so easy. I like it better than acupuncture, because with acupuncture you need an appointment. Here you got 2 fingers, sit in your bathroom. You
have total control.
Total control.
You can take care of yourself.
One more quick technique that's related. All these meridians are on your hands, okay? And so I like this one a lot too. This here is just putting your hands here, holding it for 3 breaths, doing the same thing. And the reason I like this one a lot is because it's real user-friendly. It's 1 point, but you're using all those calming meridians.
I don't want to cut you short because there's so much to talk to you about, and I love today's segment. What's your website address? Because people are going to want to follow you.
Yeah, it's my first name, Robin, ROBIN EFT, for Robin Emotional Freedom Technique, robineft.net.
Okay, and then everyone has to get this book, Tapping the Mighty Mind. Robin wrote it. Robin, what year did you write this?
You're holding the proof in your hand at the moment, okay?
Holding the
it
proof, the
will be on
manuscript.
Amazon June 1st.
Okay,
this
June
year.
1st. So
On
everybody make sure that they purchase that on Amazon.
Yeah.
And what else do you want to leave us with? We probably have about 30
I
seconds.
do want to tell you that the technique makes you yawn and sigh, and that's why Truda needed a nap. But if you have a choice about being freaked out, being in pain, being angry, or yawning and sighing, I'll take yawning and sighing.
That's good. Much better than being under stress and being in pain, correct?
Yeah.
And I love, the last thing I want to leave you with is, I have 5 sons, so I love the idea that, I've always, when they got their wisdom teeth taken out, they felt the pain, and automatically the dentist usually gives you a prescription for the oxycodone.
Yeah.
And I always threw it in the trash. I would never let them take it.
I agree.
But I just love the idea that you take that, you know,
Yeah.
whatever type of
Again,
pain it is away.
Start
Dental
here.
pain.
I'm not a hero. I just don't feel it while the dentist is working on me. And if this one doesn't work, do the long one. And if that one doesn't work, email me, and I'll mail you the third level protocol, which we don't have a time to get into today.
What's your email address? Real quick, we're going to end with that.
Robin, EFT1 @gmail.com. Robin's with an I.
Great. Thank you so much today for joining us on Midday, and thank you, Robin, for being an outstanding guest. Everyone buy the book. Everyone look up Robin and follow her because she has so much more to teach you. Have a great day.